Can you give me 5 minutes? Just merely 5 minutes. All I'm asking for. This was an idea that the Reverend Tim Stewart had up at Burns Store, and it's a good idea. So I just want to ask you to give me 5 minutes. First of all, I'd like to read you something from Ezekiel. It's actually the lectionary passage from this coming week, and it's kind of fitting for where we are in our lives right now. Hear these words from Ezekiel. The hand of the Lord was on me, and he brought me out by the Spirit of the Lord and set me in the middle of a valley. It was full of bones. He asked me, Son of man, can these bones live? I said, Sovereign Lord, you alone know. Then he said to me, Prophesy to these bones, and say to them, Dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the Sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make breath enter you, and you will come to life. I will attach tendons to you and make flesh come upon you and cover you with skin. I will put breath in you, and you will come to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I was prophesying, there was a noise, a rattling sound, and the bones came together, bone to bone. I looked, and tendons and flesh appeared on them, and skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. Then he said to me, Prophesy to the breath. Prophesy, Son of man, and say to it, This is what the Sovereign Lord says. Come, breath from the four winds, and breathe into these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath entered them. They came to life and stood on their feet. My goodness, how life has changed. Instead of being in the office every day, here I am having to work from home. Not a bad surrounding out here, I have to admit. However, it is just a part of the change that's happening in our whole world right now. We're finding it hard to get eggs. Have you tried to do that recently? Don't even talk about toilet paper. At the same time, we have a very serious threat with a virus that really, truly can hurt every single one of us. And some of us are at higher risk than others. At the very same time, the economy seems to be in question. The stock market is just going berserk, and not in a good way. And there is just a level of anxiety that seems to be all around us. Ezekiel, in his passage, as he was prophesying, was coming out of a situation where these folks were in Babylon. It didn't get any worse. People were hauled off, away from their homeland, away from everything that they knew, from all that they owned, and were kept in captivity for 70 years. Bad things were happening to them. And what did God say to Ezekiel? Suddenly we hear the song, them bones, them dried bones, now hear the word of the Lord. And what happens? He prophesies, and what occurs? God's breath breathes into the bones, and they all come back to life. Now what he's saying is, he's promising that even though they are having tough times, that all will be well, that God will breathe life right back into the bones, and all will be fine. As we are making our way through Lent, we are reminded that Jesus Christ was preparing his walk to Jerusalem, and that was a very dark time. And when we know about Holy Week, really, truly, Holy Week was one of the darkest of all, culminating in Good Friday with Christ's death, and then with Saturday, with Jesus being buried in the tomb. But yet we are children of the resurrection. We know the rest of the story. And on Easter morning, Christ came back to life. Whatever challenge you may be facing, whatever anxiety that you may have, whatever stress you may be having in your life, just do your part, do the right thing, and trust God. But just as God breathed that breath back into the life of those dry bones, God will breathe back into the life of those that are around us and into ourselves, and all will be well. Thank you for 5 minutes. God bless you, and may the peace of our risen Lord and Savior Jesus Christ be with you always. Amen.